Yeah,
Hello?
he's been requesting it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I see that
Yeah,
now.
so I think the reason why Oklahoma is so much lower, and I'll just, for the purpose of this conversation, I'll grant you that Oklahoma is that low and Massachusetts is that high. I would say there's a bunch of historical, economic, and social reasons of why Oklahoma is so much lower, and it's irregardless of whatever policy they pass. So the whole argument
Well,
is essentially a non sequitur.
Oklahoma has gutted education's budget consistently by millions and millions of dollars. They consistently cut education funding.
Well, I
So
mean,
schools have more kids, less money.
yeah, and I would counteract that by saying America, before I had a Department of Education, I believe was within the top 10 back in the 1970s before Jimmy Carter passed the Department of Education the bill, and now we're ranked I think 27. We're behind a
We've
lot
had
of
a
our European
Department of
neighbors.
Education since the 1800s. You need to dig a little deeper on the Google there, man.
Yeah.
Well, I
Not
mean,
only that, but when W took office, that's when our stuff. Like I noticed with my kids, they started to have to, in order to get funding, they taught the kids how to take the test.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
For the school to get funding, and that's all they would do. They didn't learn.
no child left behind, right?
Exactly.
So let me ask
Yeah,
you
that's
this,
horrible.
Jonathan.
Horrible policy.
Hold on. Let me ask you this, Jonathan. What exactly do you think the Department of Education does?
It basically helps standardize and regulate schools. The thing is, it's currently right now been a money drain, and with a lot of like No Child Left Behind, Common Core, it hasn't been doing its job effectively. So, but
So
regardless
they
of
teach them
that,
a lot of
this is
memorization skills, and that's not,
But
you know.
what it does do is keep states like Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana at least to a standard.
yeah, but if that standard's
Because
really
without
crappy.
but without the Department of Education, those states would be further behind. So it's an effort to make sure the kids are getting at least taught the same basics as Massachusetts. That's the hope. They're not, but that's the hope.
Yeah, but even irregardless of that, the prompt wasn't necessarily about if the Department of Education is good or bad or not. We were just discussing how come Massachusetts is so much better than Oklahoma. Is it because they were Democrats? If that's the case, then every single Democratic state should be well above every single Republican state, and every single Democrat state shouldn't be, a shithole. And I mean, I live in Delaware, for example. Delaware is a shithole, especially like around the Wilmington area. So,
Well,
The point of the thing is this: it's taxation. That's the bottom line.
no.
If you want good schools, you pay for good schools. Property taxes in Massachusetts are outlandish. My property taxes on my house in Oklahoma are absurdly low.
Yeah.
Absurdly low. And property taxes is what funds school.
So we
and,
should.
and if you value education, then you pay for it. And the states that have high property taxes have excellent schools because you can't educate kids for free, particularly when you're trying to teach to a test that is a national standardized test. And then you get into poverty. Red states generally are poorer states. They have lower education in the families. And that just is a perpetual thing. It perpetuates itself.
Yeah, and the respond to that, the reason why they're poor, especially say like Oklahoma, for example, versus Massachusetts, is that A, they don't have as much natural resources. B, they're in a geographically horrendous area. Oklahoma is literally in the middle of nowhere. It's the middle of America. Massachusetts, on the other hand, is bordering the Atlantic coast. Has direct connections to Europe because of that. Yeah, it has. I mean, the first American colony was established in Cape Colony, right? With the Puritans. And that was back in the 1600s. So Massachusetts also has hundreds of years of history of Oklahoma in terms of development and culture. Plus the Puritan culture, too, highly valued education, being that they were very religious. They were all about learning what Jesus taught. So that Puritan culture then translated into universities such as Harvard University, MIT being established.
so if that's the case, Texas has a pretty decent education system. They also have a high property tax. Their
Well-
mud tax kills when you. So their Oklahoma's just right above them, and they're way better than Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Oklahoma only has a population of, I believe, 3 million to 4 million people. Massachusetts has a population of almost 8 million people. Massachusetts has a way smaller land area, too. So they have way more people in a way small area. That means more people per capita. That means more economic units, essentially, to power the economy in the first place.
No. So what you don't understand is, I don't know where you live, but like about 6 months ago, I was looking to relocate to Northborough, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, and rent there is you can't afford it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Even with what I do, and I own 2 homes now. Like, even with the salary that I make, because of the difference in salary there was no way I could live there.
I mean, you're just giving me
way.
the argument, essentially, because Massachusetts has high property tax. People can't afford to live there anymore.
I'm saying rent.
Whoa.
I'm saying rent.
You just brought up property tax again. That's what pays for education. That was what the lady said, is the property tax is what makes education system.
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, I'm not
does.
necessarily opposed to like property taxes or anything like that. I never made that claim. But what I am saying is that Oklahoma has numerous disadvantages when you compare to Massachusetts, just from the fact that when the state was established, I think it was 200 years after Massachusetts was established. Massachusetts has doubled the population and has way more people they can tax. So even if Oklahoma and Massachusetts have the same tax policy, Massachusetts is just going to have more money overall because they have more people to tax.
Oklahoma also has a Republican supermajority, which is a bad thing.
So not necessarily, because you have a lot of landlords and property owners there. It's not the same, because they can deduct that. They deduct like their properties from what they pay. Kind of like Trump, how he didn't pay any taxes in how many years?
Sure, I mean that's a completely different topic, but regardless of that, let me make the point. Let me make the point. That's a red herring. That's not related. We're discussing why Oklahoma is less than Massachusetts in terms of education, quality of life, etc. We're not talking about Trump's taxes. Don't change the subject. Don't change the subject.
Live in Massachusetts.
Sure, and Trump's
That's what I'm saying to you.
tax policy, or excuse me, Trump's taxes, how much he paid or how much he didn't pay is not related. And just for the purpose of conversation, sure, I stated to you, Trump didn't pay his taxes, so we can get back on point.
I gave it to you as an example, as a property owner, like somebody who owns multiple properties. Do you understand that?
Sure,
okay.
And then I'm going to respond by saying,
sake.
sure, that can have a difference, but when Massachusetts has a population literally double that of Oklahoma, it's not going to matter how many people are. I'm not missing the point. I agree with you that there's going to be some deductions.
Hold on,
You are
Des.
missing
Hold on,
the
Des.
point. The point
So you-
is that the property taxes in Oklahoma are abysmally low. Oklahoma has a Republican supermajority, governor both houses. They continually cut education. It's not a simple thing, but it is. I could map it out for you. I could show you when Oklahoma used to have much higher education standards, when education was funded better, when there was a Democratic governor. It's just policy.
Yeah, and then
Democrats support education. Republicans, you see, it's easy to teach people. It's easy to lead stupid people. If people don't know history, if people don't understand economics, it's easy to tell them nonsense and they believe it.
Or like
And this election just demonstrated that perfectly.
So to respond to that last diatribe you delivered, that's just posturing, and basically you're preaching to the masses. We're not here to preach. We're here to debate and argue. And regardless of that, what was the population of Oklahoma back then? Because I'm back when it was Democrats. Like, what was the population in terms of like ethnicity?
Shoot. I don't know.
Yeah,
Back
what
to
was the
the
population?
population.
Yeah, in terms of
It was about
ethnicity.
3 million, now
Hold
it's
on,
about 4.
Hold on.
No, in terms of ethnicity.
Ethnicity?
Yeah, ethnicity.
What does that have to
Oklahoma
do with
is
anything? What does that have
Oklahoma-
to do with anything?
It doesn't have
Well,
anything
certain
to do
people
with
may
it.
vote for certain things. I.e., white people may value education more.
We've seen that the general population doesn't understand that their control over a woman's body is not something to vote on.
That's not related.
Oh, it sure the fuck is.
It's not related.
You think in all them Bible states that the Bible Belt states that they didn't preach that at churches, which they all need to be fucking taxed now.
Yeah, a lot of the Bible Belt states are going to become blue anyways because of increasing populations of immigrants and black people. So,
Oh yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah, okay.
No, that's literally what's going to happen. Like North Carolina, South Carolina are going to become blue. Georgia's going to
That's
become blue.
hilarious. No, they're
Hold
going
on,
to become
Jonathan.
blue
Hold
because
on.
they realize.
No, that's
Hold on
literally.
a second. I would like to get back. I would like to get back to the tax thing, and because you brought up population, and that's the population's double. That also means that Oklahoma requires less schools because of the population, which means it should even out financially. Because when you double the population, that means double the schools, double the money going in.
Well, I would agree with you, but the thing with Oklahoma is a much bigger state. It covers much more area and has less natural resources too. So their economic output, even if they had the same population as Massachusetts, is going to be less as a result. Like I think, I think, like, for example, like Boston, for example, I forgot how much people Boston has, but I'm pretty sure it's more than, say, like Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Which
When you
means
talk about natural resources in Oklahoma, you are leaving out oil. And one of the problems again, a Republican problem, they lower the taxes, always lower the taxes. Oklahoma's drilling tax, and I forget what it's called. That's terrible. Is half of what other oil states are, because we're going to lower the taxes because we want to pump more oil out of the ground. Oklahoma has plenty of natural resources. We just don't tax the way other people do. Therefore, we don't have the money that other people do. And everything suffers. Our roads, our schools, our bridges. We had a bridge collapse because a tractor trailer hit it. That's just bad infrastructure, because the party line is lower taxes, lower taxes, lower taxes.
Yeah, and I would respond with that.
So
Like with
tax-
Oklahoma, again, it's just in a horrible location geographically speaking.
Instead of
You guys
taxing
are
the
in the
wealthy.
middle of nowhere.
Because you all still think trickle-down economics works, and it never has worked. Never. Literally never.
Well,
Never.
here's the problem.
I-
Here's the main problem. Hold on. Here's the main problem, because I've lived in several states that have legalized gambling or legalized marijuana and promised to put it into the school system. And those are all red states. And every time they do put it into the school system, but they remove something that they had into the school system to do it. So when they put the price of marijuana into the school system, they remove other funding. So they never actually make the school better or give it more funding. They just move the taxes around.
That's what Oklahoma did when marijuana was when medicinal marijuana was legalized. They pulled lottery money out of the schools and substituted
Exactly.
it with marijuana money.
Well, I mean, that's
Exactly.
again,
They
that's
substituted.
that's Oklahoma's personal decision. We can't apply that to every single red state, and regardless of that,
Well,
it still
every
doesn't.
single red
It
state
still
that I've
does
lived
not
in
let
has done
me.
the exact same thing.
Cool, that's your
Yeah,
own
Missouri
personal
did it.
experience.
State
It's your own
has done the
personal
exact
experience.
same
It's not an
thing.
argument.
Missouri-
Let me make the
Missouri
argument.
did it. No,
Let me make
you know
the
what?
argument.
This is my life. Why don't you shut the fuck
Why
up
are
for
you
once?
why are you so mad?
Because-
Relax, lady.
Why do you think? Because you keep telling me, let me.
Yeah, let me speak. This is a conversation
What
back
the
and
fuck,
forth. This
dude?
is like a 1v3 right now. So this is a 1v3 right now. So this is a one. Let's go.
Bye.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Lol.
Jesus.
Anyways, my point being, he's like, this